Hello? Hello? How are we doing? Alright, I'm gonna try not to waste anybody's time here. I think I'm gonna jump into it real soon, but yeah, how is everybody doing? There's a lot to talk about. A lot has been going on this week. The end of the NBA Finals is near, if anybody's into basketball. Game 6 is tomorrow. Will OKC win the finals? That'll be interesting to know. Or will it go to Game 7? Will Pacers win tomorrow? I'm very curious to see what happens. I think Pacers might do it. I think the Pacers might push it to 7, but we'll see. We've got that. We've got what's been going on with Travis Scott. I just made a short on that, a TikTok on that. Pusha T going after Travis Scott, basically calling him a homie hopper. I thought that was a funny situation. It's been a rough month to be Travis Scott with the Astro World Festival being released and stuff. But yeah, again, I'm not gonna waste anybody's time. If you guys want to talk about that, I would be happy to talk about that. But today, what we're gonna do, we are gonna we are gonna check out this video from NFR Podcast, which is a YouTube channel that I actually watch regularly, even though I have like my opinions on them and their takes. Like, I wouldn't say I'm like their biggest fans, but you know, they have great video ideas. I think they have some really good entertaining videos, and they, you know, have good conversations. Whether I agree with their conversations or not, that's a different story. But you know, they bring up some good conversations that I either agree with or wholeheartedly do not agree with whatsoever. So I don't know how to feel about this video that was dropped last week called "Your Favorite Rapper is Washed." On the thumbnail is Drake, Kanye, and Lil Wayne. I'll tell you this: those three rappers are washed. I agree with that. I think those three rappers are washed. But I really want to see, want to hear their takes, because sometimes they go a bit hyperbolic. You know, like a few, like I feel like every 6 months they talk about how hip hop is dying, and then the next month they talk about like the biggest rap album of the world and stuff like that. Like, they tend to like exaggerate things. So I'm very curious about this video. I've been pushing it off for way too long, but I knew I had to do it. I have to like react to it now because tomorrow I'm gonna be focusing on the NBA Finals. So let's actually watch it. Let me turn off the video or the music. Let's jump into this video. I'm gonna turn up the volume. Let me know if it's too loud. 2024 was hold up, and Jesus. Let me also make the quality as good as possible. Damn, 4K. What was that? What was that? 2160p. I wish I could do that with my videos. I'm just happy to be in HD, but they got 4K. They got like really high-end, high-quality equipment there, I'll say. I'm jealous of that. I've got my Snowball microphone. Hello. Try not to be too loud. I've got my little cheap webcam that I forgot. It's supposed to be pretty good. What is it? Yeah, it's an Elgato webcam, I believe. I see the Elgato logo. So I got a webcam, a cheap mic, and a dream. Okay, let's not beat around the bush any longer. Let me... What is it? This one? I'm not there. This one? Nope. You can do better. Was it? I have so many scenes on Streamlabs. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna go down here. I'm going down here because it looks like I'm If I look this way, look towards the video. Okay, I'm going up here. There we go. Problem solved. Alright. Let's see what they're yapping about.
2024 was a massive year
me know
commercially
if this
for
is
the
too
hip hop
loud.
genre, and what was interesting is that we saw a
quiet.
lot of different mainstream hip
I'll lower
hop
it a little
artists
bit.
drop work that not only
But let me
created a
know
huge
if
buzz
it's too
around the
loud.
community, but ones that really made a mark within their own said discographies. But what's interesting is that if you really look at it, the total landscape of hip hop, there's so many mainstream artists that are low-key past their prime at this point, and it raises a question: why are all these guys washed? Going through this list, Lou, and preparing for this episode, I'm looking at these names and I'm like, this is kind of concerning for me because these guys are the ones that are carrying the genre. Yes, there's wonderful artists in the underground. I think 2025 has been a massive year for the underground.
I agree.
That's probably going to make all of my end of the year list, to be quite honest with you, because there's been a lack of quality mainstream releases. But
What I don't like about the channel, like, they talk about hip hop, but they don't talk about the underground hip hop. Like, they don't review underground hip hop albums. They'll talk about them at the end of the year, but nah, they always talk about the big three, and then sometimes talk about Asawa, who isn't even that underground, but it's underground relative to the big three.
But at the same time, in today's episode, we're going to be going through different mainstream rappers and answering the question, are they washed or not? So, Lou, let's get into this. What's your definition of washed just before we get into this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's definitely true what you're saying. Like, it's sad to see all of these stars that we grew up with from the 2000s, from the 2010s, still being on top of the genre commercially, still selling out the most shows, topping the charts, but not having the quality to back it up anymore. And when it comes to the conversation of washed, it's different than the conversation of, like, this artist fell off, right? When we think of an artist that fell off, we often look at, like, the album sales or how much relevance they have in the game. But in terms of washed, for me, it's more about, like, your
quality.
capabilities and your skills. Can you still maintain the skills you once had? Can you still put together an album like you once did? What are you doing? What are you offering to the culture and to the overall hip-hop landscape? And, like, are you really still
I do like the wording there. The difference between washed and fall off. I never thought about it like that, but it makes sense. How washed, you're not good talent-wise, but falling off means you're like not doing numbers, not getting a lot of money from your work, stuff like that. That makes sense. I think they framed that pretty well.
need it? Like, are you still contributing in a positive way? How do you look at it, though?
Well, this is another question that I want to ask you that's going to kind of answer mine. Where do you draw the line between an artist has passed their prime, but they're still releasing good projects, and now an artist is washed, where it's like there's...
I hate the idea of prime. It's so stupid because it only works in like sports, because after a few years in a certain sport, your body will give out, right? Because it's a sport, it's a physical thing. Well, in music, you could make music for as long as for a very long time. Like, yeah, when you get older, maybe there will be things that will affect you, that will make it harder to make music, whether it's physical or mental reasons. But that's not until you're really, really old. So the fact that they talk about a prime, I think that's silly because there's tons of examples of rappers that are amazing when they are old, rappers that start off young and suck and then get better as they get older. Some rappers that start really, really good when they're young and then get worse. There's no consistency, so there's no such thing as a prime. I believe there's rappers that are just consistently average, consistently great, consistently bad. Where are their primes? It doesn't exist. The prime conversation to me is silly when we talk about music. It makes sense for sports, but for music, nah, it does not make sense.
No capabilities in sight.
Well, that's really what it comes down to, right? If you're washed, you're just down this trajectory where it's bad album after bad album, or maybe mediocre album after mediocre album. Like, there's no sort of silver lining. Like most of what you're putting out is just not good. But I look at it the same way that like you would call, let's say, Kevin Garnett with the Brooklyn Nets washed. Where
It's not the same
the
thing.
guy's just not putting up points on the board, and obviously you
And
can't
Kevin Garnett was
correlate that to
okay
numbers. To
with
me,
the
this has
Nets.
nothing to do with numbers.
He was
but it just
okay.
has to do with like how many great songs or albums can you still put together.
His last stint with the Timberwolves was washed, I'll say.
Very true. All right, elephant in the room. Mr. Kanye West himself. We haven't had this
Washed.
conversation yet as far as a long form piece
Washed.
goes.
Is there really an elephant in the room?
Wash. Used to be my goat. No longer. He's a Nazi. He's washed.
But regardless, though, what's interesting about this conversation is that you and I put out a short form piece that was
Short
really
form
centered
piece.
around the
Okay.
conversation of, is Kanye West really washed at this point in 2025? And I think it's gotten to a consensus sort of agreement that it's over.
No,
like it's
the-
really over at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you don't think Kanye West is washed, bro, like you have to jump off of it.
You
Like,
have to be a
it's
Nazi
come
to
down
think
to that
that.
point, and it's also a case of like we recently put out a birthday post for Kanye West, and bro, literally most of the top comments were like, "R.I.P. Kanye West."
What? Sorry, I wanted to read this.
And it puts
That's
like
crazy.
his birthday to 2021.
Yeah.
And like that's when you know, bro. Like the fan base feels like that same artist they once loved that gave us classic after classic is not the same artist making music today. And
I hate how they always tweet about Kanye, though. It wouldn't even be about hip hop. They just tweet about Kanye. Like, don't talk about. I know he's a hip hop artist, but don't tweet about him unless it's about music that has been released. Okay, not about rumors, not about his latest racist rant on Twitter. Just stop. It's you're just platforming a Nazi. Like, if you want to talk about the music, fine, but talk about the music. Like, that's it. Don't talk about anything else.
I think that when you look at like how did this all happen, when did it all happen, you have to look at obviously Donda being his last special album, and
Do you
then
think that's the retirement album?
I agree.
I think that's what should have been the retirement album, but
I
then
agree.
he became washed for me starting in 2022, right? You had the exclusive STEM player release of Donda 2.
I
where
kinda
you just
wanted a
had
STEM
him
player. I
making
kinda
run-of-the-mill
still do, but
trap songs
I'm
and
not buying it.
not really pushing any boundaries like he used to. And then you got a bunch of lackluster feature verses from Hot Shit with Cardi B to
Oh, that was awful.
Concussion with Fabio Foreign and a few others.
I don't even remember
At that
that
point,
one.
you started to feel like, okay, he can't make a single good verse. And I feel like that's where we're at now with the releases of Vultures 2, with the releases of Cousins, WW3, etc. It's like,
I haven't even
oh,
listened
he's
to
so
those.
washed that he can't even put a single good verse.
Well, you go into the Vultures 2 experience, and I think that was the first time for you and I last August where we really started to question this guy's capabilities as an artist. And it's like, why don't you just take a break at this point?
It should have
right?
been Vultures 1.
Kanye West has never shied.
They should have thought about that when Vultures 1 was released. Vulture 1, there was anti-Semitic bars on Vultures 1, and they, like, did not care. It's crazy.
away from taking breaks from music. He's done it a bunch of different times where he's taken a year or two off, and I just think at this point it's just like a pump and dump sort of thing where he's trying to fulfill the needs of his fans, but he doesn't realize that his fans are fed up of the new music that's coming out.
Well, how could you not be when the guy's surrendering to AI and looking to Dave Blunts for inspiration?
But that's what I'm trying to
bro?
say. Like,
God.
even the cast of people that are working on these albums, like,
I think one of my worst aging takes is liking a Dave Blunt song so much. I put him in my top 50 songs of last year list. Still enjoy the song, but yeah, he grew off of me quick.
I think Dave Blunts is a decent artist. I mean, he's
He's-
made maybe a handful of good
Okay.
tracks in his life, and now this guy's touching one of the most goated catalogs in all of hip hop music. Even if you look at the way that he's marketing his music, we get it. It's always been centered around controversy and these, high tension media moments. But now it's just gotten too much, and it kind of turns off the fan base from the music because now it's really bleeding into the music, and now there's a huge disconnect. That's something that I don't like about his new material. It's like, why? Why center your music around these types of topics? It's distasteful, and you have people in your own fan base that are buying the music that they feel attacked by the artist that they've been supporting for so many years. So even the connection between Kanye and his own fan base, I feel like has been at an all-time low. I also think the gimmicks at this point in time, for example, like the Yeezy porn thing, like bro, like what are we doing here? Like
I forgot
you really
about
have
that.
to do these antics to be able to sell your music even further. We get it. You know, you've used it in the past, for example, with the Hennessy bottle at the award show with Taylor Swift. You know, you've done it a bunch of different times for different albums, but now it's too far and it's created a disconnect between the artist and between the fan base. So I also think there's that in the mix.
Well,
of
I
this.
think what it comes down to also is that like we often talk about like separating the art from the person making the art, but with Kanye West, people are no longer blurring the lines because they feel like he's washed as a person and they can't even respect anything that he stands on or anything that he represents, and you can't really
Yeah.
blame anyone for feeling that way. So I feel like not only is the music bad, but the person behind the art themselves is just lacking complete respect from the community that he's trying to feed. So it's really an interesting case with Ye. I think that it is beyond the point of return. I think we're at a point of no return for
It's
Kanye
because I
West.
don't even think the
I
people
agree.
in the fan base could even
Which is very
justify
unfortunate.
the actions or the thought process, you know, behind the marketing rollouts when you look at the music, right? Because it was always the conversation of, oh, well, he made Graduation. He made music that, you know, really inspired me as a human being, and I think that's true
I don't even
in
think
a lot of
Graduation's
cases. And
top
he
five
celebrated his
Kanye.
artistry before this whole run, but now it's just like he's giving you garbage on both ends, on the marketing and on the scandal side of things, and also on the music side of things. You go
Yeah,
into these albums,
yeah.
they're lackluster, they're not
That's
well
why he's
produced.
washed.
I would-
They're not even finished.
But that's
they're not
something-
even finished
yeah,
products.
but-
That's another big problem with recent
Of
Kanye
course.
West.
And that's also a problem with me, is that something that I go to Kanye West for time and time again within his catalog is amazing production, right? The groundbreaking production, whether it's him also assembling some of the greatest cast of producers that the genre has ever seen to come in and work on these studio album experiences. And I'm not getting that. I'm genuinely not getting that. Like, that is not something that you're finding in a new Kanye West album in 2025. I think it's over. I
Yeah.
celebrate the catalog, Donda and before, and that's pretty much it for me.
I
That's
think
where I
that's
stand
fair.
on the catalog.
Listen, in terms of just the music, still one of my favorite artists of all time. And I feel like in 2016, when Ye rapped that people missed the old Kanye, he had no fucking clue how much we would all feel that in our souls just about 10 years later. But that's where we're at right now. Kanye West gets the washed stamp. Next up, Lil Wayne.
Yeah, he's washed. I agree. And what a line. I miss the old Kanye. That line, I don't know if that aged poorly or well, like depending on the perspective, but yeah, I miss the old Kanye, man. Not even like the old Kanye, like my favorite album from him is Late Registration, so I do like old Kanye, but hello? Sorry about that. But I love The Life of Pablo. I really enjoy Yeezus. I really enjoy Donda. Yay, even Kitsy Ghost is like a modern classic to me. So I just miss Kanye. I get all of Kanye until last year. Strictly music though. Like he's been saying whack stuff for the longest time, but yeah, last year was the first year he dropped some doo-doo garbage, which is unfortunate. Okay, they're about to talk about Wayne. I've been saying he's washed. People thought I was crazy for not liking the Carter 5, which I still think is mid. But to be fair, it was probably his best work in like 5 years, 10 years, however long ago. But yeah, since then he hasn't dropped anything good, whether it's a mixtape, whether it's an album. I think it's safe to say he's washed, so let's see if they agree.
Wayne. I want to say this. Lil Wayne had an amazing 30-year run in hip-hop, one of the
30
most
years?
important,
No wonder he's
influential
washed.
runs of all time, dropping classic mixtapes and albums and
he did.
ingraining
I haven't even
punchlines
hit my
into our
30s.
minds forever. And what's interesting about this conversation in terms of just our conversations about this is that I feel like you've been saying that Lil Wayne has fallen off or that he's been washed for the last year or so. And I've kind of given him the benefit of the doubt, saying, well, listen,
Why?
you're still getting amazing feature versus like A How Wind Blows, Saturday Mornings, Bash Money, Seeing Green, etc. Like, he was still keeping
some
up that
decent
stellar
features,
feature run, but
but-
you're like, I think it's over. And
It is
to
over.
be honest with you, for me, the Carter 6 was the nail in the coffin.
Oh, for me, it was the fix before the 6.
That was
Honestly,
such an
before that, like,
awful
I understand the
mixtape.
Bash Money.
Dude. When that was released, like, I couldn't believe people still claim he was the GOAT. I couldn't believe it. Because clearly nobody was listening to it. Even though, like, there's diehard Lil Wayne fans that will say he's a GOAT, but they probably didn't even listen to that mixtape. I listened to it. It's awful. It's garbage. And that was even, like, the only bad project he's released in, like, the last 5 years. Like, Funeral was bad as well. There's other forgettable projects he has, like the one with 2 Chainz that, like, nobody cares about. He's washed, and he kind of fell off too. I think he did both. I think Carter 6 did numbers, but the other stuff, I don't think it did well at all. I don't know.
Verse, I get the Seeing Green verse. I like all of that, but the last really solid feature that he dropped was in 2024 with Saturday Mornings with Corday, and I think that was a wonderful verse. Brings you
That was
back
good.
to this
It was a good
old soulful
verse.
Lil Wayne, right? Great punchlines.
So he
great
still
bar
has
work.
it in him. That's what's frustrating,
Yes,
though.
but the thing
That
is
is,
that
yeah. That's
I take it
frustrating.
maybe as an athlete, right? How long could you play at your top tier, right? You look at maybe someone that's 38 years old, was once a superstar, could play 25 minutes a night, and for all of that 25 minutes, you're getting the best guy in that game.
Yeah, it's like a
Now-
role player. At the end of the
Exactly.
day. Yeah.
But now you get the situation with Wayne where it's like maybe you get 1 or 2 really fire verses a year, but now you have to go into the game and you got to play a full game with a studio album experience, and you're getting songs like Peanuts to an Elephant. It's like, bro, like, who decide the lack of curation on Wayne's side for this Carter 6 album was just devastating. It was a huge
Yeah, Wayne's issues that, like, he does not have to, like, do quality control, right? He bloats every project that he has. He could be really good for a song or two, but it's not for a full album. I don't even think he could be good for a full EP. Like, 5 tracks, I don't know. Like, he would really need to focus, lock in order to have a decent EP at this point in his career. I think. I don't know. But I'm kind of a Wayne hater. Not a hater. He actually got me into hip hop, funny enough. But yeah, I haven't been a fan of his in a while now, so yeah.
low. I think that it's unanimous around the entire community that this album stinks and that it should have never came out, and it's
It's pretty bad.
disrespectful to the Carter series. And most people might say, okay, I could argue that. You know, he's later on into his career. He's done what he's had to do. He just wants to have fun and release an album. I get that, but at the same time, like, if Quentin Tarantino releases a bad film in his filmography, am I going to look at that and be like, oh, well, you know, he's been releasing films since the 90s, so I can give him the excuse to release a bad film? No, I can't. Because these,
I'm
these
surprised he
people
has this take.
that
I
are
agree.
creating this art are the best in their said fields. And their output, in my opinion, at least as a consumer, you hold it up to that standard. When you're going into a Lil Wayne album experience, you want the bar work, you want amazing beat selection. That's something that Wayne has always had. He knows a good fucking
Struggled
beat.
with in
Even on his
the Carter
mixtapes, he
6.
knew what beats to choose
Well, I
to
think-
murder and then blow it up even further. So that's even lacking within it.
No, for sure. But I think that for me, the Carter 6 was the litmus test because looking at the fix before the 6, looking at, let's say, a 2 Chainz collab album, those were looser projects. I'm like, you know what? Let's see him perform on the big stage one last time and see if he really still has it. And we got our answer, bro. I saw a stat that there were over 500 different punchlines on the Carter 6, and maybe there was 1 or 2 that were memorable. Like, that is devastating as a Lil Wayne fan, and I feel like he just doesn't have anything
don't think I
interesting
could
to offer
remember
anymore. I feel
any.
like the hunger's not there anymore. I feel like his
be
ability
fair, I haven't
to
listened to it
rap
in,
over any
like, a
beat that
week.
he wants and even jump on other people's production and kill those songs and make them his own. He doesn't really do that anymore either. His features have been solid, but even if you want to take that argument, what are we going to reduce Wayne to? A solid feature artist? Like, that's devastating as someone that was once
Basically.
seen
It's like
as
treating him as a
a
Ty
goat.
Dolla Sign or trying to treat him
Yeah.
as. No, we're not doing that here. Like, this
You
guy's
should.
a goat. He's one of the greatest ever.
That's all he can do. That's all he's been doing for like 10 years now. Just having some killer killer features on a Tyler Creator album. And other people's albums, Corday's album, That's it. That's all he can do. He hasn't done anything good since the Carter 5, and even that I still think is a mid project. Some good songs though, but still it's mid. It's mid, bro. So yeah, at this point he is a featured artist. Like, he's a legacy artist. Dude, like, he should have what is this called? I don't know. I forgot. Whatever. Let's move on.
Dude, he was in my top 10 greatest rappers of all time list. One of the
Wild
most
take.
influential rappers of all time. And the output has to be judged on that standard. I mean, look at how many people held Eminem accountable for a revival, right? And look
As
at
I
the
should.
switch in the career and the artistry now in 2024 with the death of Slim Shady and how he's trying to get back to his old form.
He's not back to his old form. The death of Slim Shady was buns. It was ass. Just a pile of shit, dude. Like, no. Like, it wasn't as bad as Revival, but the death of Slim Shady is corny stuff.
That hunger has to be found. I understand if the hunger's not at an all-time high because you've accomplished everything you've wanted to do, right? You've sold millions of records. You've toured all over the world. You've amassed one of the biggest fan bases that the genre has ever seen. At the end of the day, you've done what you've had to do. But I think that there's a respect between the artists and the fans that need to be maintained when you deliver them a product, especially labeled after an iconic series that you've built up over the course of the past 2 decades. And I think that standard needs to be withheld, and it wasn't withheld, so therefore I give it the wash.
And he recently rapped,
Wash.
I ain't even debating on retiring. And I feel
Oh,
like
God.
at this point, bro, that's chill, but I don't want to see him taint that catalog any further, bro. I mean, he's obviously cemented, but it's like, I don't want to continue seeing him just fall, bro, at this point. Like, he's becoming more washed than a hotel towel, bro. Like, it's really getting to that point where it's
God.
like, what are we doing here? So yeah, Lil Wayne definitely
That was
washed,
corny.
unfortunately, but someone else there's been a lot of conversation about when it comes to this washed topic is Drizzy Drake. And first of all,
I think he's washed too. He hasn't dropped anything good in like 10 years. Let me take a step back. Hold the horse. Hold my horses. Okay. He's dropped good songs. Out of the 3 artists, I was going to say he was the best one, but Kanye still dropped Donda. He still dropped EA over the last 10 years. So I can't say Drake is the best out of those 3. Drake has been better than Lil Wayne these last 10 years. I'll say that. Because there's more Drake songs I go back and listen to, even if they're on garbage albums, than I do with Lil Wayne. I like never listen to Lil Wayne. Shout out Lil Wayne though. But I think he's washed. He can't make a good album. He can't. When was his last good album? If you're reading this, probably that's a mixtape, but I'm counting it as an album. That's it. Like, I think Muse is overrated. I think Scorpion's trash. What else did he drop? Honestly, Nevermind is an awful dance record. For the Dogs Only, or for all the dogs, something like that. What else did he? The Loverboy album. Like, they're all bad albums. I wouldn't say they're like the worst projects ever made, but they're bad albums. They're just bad albums. They're like 20 track long albums with like 2 to 4 good tracks within them. So yeah, I think he's washed, even though he could make a good song here and there. I've been vibing with Nokia this year. I like Nokia. do not like the album he dropped with Party Next Door. I don't even remember the name. So I think he's washed, but I know these guys are gonna glaze him. So let's see if that's the case.
I want to make this clear when we talk about, again, falling off and washed. It's a very different situation. When you talk about falling off,
He has
Drake,
not fallen off.
Could
I'll
not
say
be
that.
even close to further from the truth, because this man is still topping the charts, still one of the biggest artists in the
I
entire
agree.
world, still putting out a lot of quality to his fan base's eyes. And while I feel like he's not washed right now, I do feel like he's starting that trajectory of becoming a
Starting
washed
that
artist.
trajectory.
And this has nothing to do with the battle, to be honest.
He
with you.
started
I also
like
don't
10
think
years
that
ago.
Drake has lost any of his skills or abilities, but I do feel like he's forgotten what's made him such an amazing artist, and I feel like it really comes down to poor decision making.
Yeah,
For his own
I
output.
agree.
Yes.
I think that's what it comes down to. And when you really think about the fact
That's
that
it.
his last good, and I'm saying good, I'm not even saying great, his last good solo studio album was 2018 Scorpion. That was
That's not
almost
good.
10
That's
years ago.
still-
So I need to look at that. I need to look at that
That's
and be
a
like, that was a
mid
long time
album.
ago.
That-
His last
that album's
great
trash.
solo studio album was
Views.
Views in 20.
Yes, but you
Overrated.
could also make the argument that he has dropped quality projects this decade. I've had this conversation with you
He has
when
not.
we did our power rankings. I think he's far from washed. I still think he's developing
so washed.
great material.
The biggest Drake glazer I know, and I knew it. Dude, he's been washed, dude. So 2018 was when Scorpion was released. That's 7 years ago. I remember when that was released. That was Buns. Again, a few good tracks off of that album, but there's no way you're gonna catch me listening to that double album. No, there's no way. It's torture. It's boring.
Especially for this decade, I look at over the past 5 years, looking at Dark Lane demo tapes, looking
Mid.
at something like Her Lost,
Mid.
even CLB. It's
It
not
was
my favorite, but I
kinda
think
good.
it's a good album. I think there's a lot of quality on there, but
Mid.
there's a lot of bloat as well. I think it's kind
Actually,
of
no,
like
that
a
was
give and
just
take
trash.
situation with that album. I think his last studio album was lackluster. There's songs that I'm genuinely not going back to, and it's one of my least visited For All the Dogs projects for a number of different reasons. You guys could go check it out on our album review, but even when I look at this situation,
But this
with Drake-
this is a run of weak projects. We have to treat it the same way that we would for
But
an
I think-
Eminem that put out
Exactly.
a revival and a Kamikaze
No,
that
Dra-
was
Dra-
average.
Drake,
and,
Drake hasn't put out a revival.
Bro,
Drake
he
has
put
not
out
put out.
some sexy songs for you that was really weak.
He hasn't dropped anything as bad as Revival, but the amount of mid in his catalog is like accumulating to a Revival and a Death of Slim Shady worth of ass. Like that's just how it is. I think.
We put out a For All the Dogs
don't agree.
that you gave a super mid rating to. Like, at the end of the day, we have to look at like what
Everyone
the
out-
output is, and I feel like with Drake, he's on this path where his music is suffering again because of the choices, because he wants to still appeal to the youth by working with the Yeet or rapping over a sexy drill beat. And what's really frustrating,
Funny thing is the track with the Yeet feature and the Sexy Red features were like two of my favorites off of the album. That's funny.
as a Drake fan, is his own judgment. Like, how are we getting Meet Your Padres and 7969 Santas over songs like Vital and I Did and Mention Me? I really feel like it comes down to his judgment and how he feels like he needs to appease the majority of
Yeah,
his fan
that's
base. And there's a real
exactly
issue
it.
there. And I feel like he is.
No, for
He has
sure.
a
I feel
quality
like he's
control
continuing
problem
down
like
this
Wayne.
path where it's like, no, he's not washed right now, but if he continues on this downward slope, he's gonna get there.
It's a tough conversation though. Like to make it
It's
seem
a
like
tough
he hasn't
di-
dropped a good project this decade, I think is a bit hypocritical.
I didn't say that. I said a
I don't know why I did that, but so why is it? It's not a hot. It shouldn't be a hot take that Drake hasn't dropped anything good in 5 years. I'll be nice, 5 years. I would say 10, but I know people like views and stuff like that. I don't know, but
good solo
oh, what was that? Okay,
studio album.
We gave CLB a good rating.
I didn't. Well, mind you, even if I did, I changed it over time. I still think it's a mediocre album.
it's ass.
I think it's good. I think it's a solid album. I give
Bro.
it the score. I still stand on it. I think there's a lot of underrated songs on there. There's songs that I don't revisit, of course, that I feel like don't fit his catalog. But for
The
most
album has
part,
way too sexy on
I'm
it.
still invested
It's-
into
it's
it.
not
Dark Lane
good.
demo tapes, solo project, solo album.
Not a solo album. It's a mixtape. All
So
Lucy's.
okay, so
cool.
we're just gonna ignore the album because it's a mixtape or a collab album
It's
or
cool.
a summer EDM album.
It's not even good. It's not even that good. Like, it's the most decent Drake project, I would say, in the last 5 years. Maybe a bit better than Mid. I think Her Loss is around there as well. Like, if I would rate it out of 10, I would give it like a 6 for both. Still not like a good score for a legend like Drake.
Is still a views level. Is it still a Drake level album? Like, you know, top
When
tier
was
Drake.
the last? Okay, no, I know
Is
top tier
that-
Drake, but I know a lot of top tier artists. So, for example, we're gonna have the Kendrick Lamar conversation soon.
Uh,
When was the last
do
time
you
that
not-
Kendrick-
Why would they talk about Kendrick? Why? He hasn't dropped a bad project in his career. They're really gonna talk about him? Okay.
Put Dark Lane demo tapes next to a GNX or a Mr. Morale.
No,
and the
but
Big
I'm
Steppers.
no.
Don't play that game.
I never said that. Those words never came out of my mouth. You made an assumption. What I'm telling you is that if you're gonna hold that standard to all kinds of different artists, do it for everyone. There's a lot of artists on this
I
list
do.
that we're not gonna give the
Okay.
watch tag to.
Well,
we're gonna
Kendrick
praise.
Lamar's a
Let me
bad
finish my
example because
point.
he's putting out amazing albums.
Let
That
me-
was a bad
let-
example.
I need to finish my point. Again, you're jumping to conclusions without me finishing my point. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of artists that haven't dropped their best album in the last 10 years. It's the same thing. Whether
I don't
it's
need him to
amazing or
drop his
perfect.
best album. I never said that.
No, but that's what you said. Absolutely. Like,
I
when
didn't
was the
say he
last
needs
great
to-
studio album that he
Yeah,
got?
the last great one, not one of his best, bro. GNX, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, great albums. Sold separately, even Freddie Gibbs' latest album, great albums. These people are keeping up with consistency and having a bar that
Sure.
they maintain.
But the thing is
So-
that you're ignoring a whole different side to the catalog that's being developed.
What
Why?
is
Because For All
he
the Dogs is
talking
mid and
about?
CLB's good at the best. You're going to ignore Her Loss, Dark Lane demo tapes, and Honestly Nevermind, which is a cool, fun summer album.
Cool fun summer album. Honestly, never mind. Who pumps Honestly Nevermind in the big 2025? Okay, I like how they argue. This is why I watch them, because they argue and they act like little kids, honestly. Like, these are two grown ass men. And they just whine and argue with each other. But it's fun. It's fun. It's funny to watch. But yeah, I think the confusion is Ant thinks that Lou is saying that because Drake didn't drop his best album in the last 10 years, that's why he's washed. But he has good albums within that time frame, so that's why Ant thinks he's not washed. And he compared it to Kendrick for some reason because he hasn't dropped To Pimp a Butterfly 2 in the last 10 years. But like the albums he chooses to like platform and highlight is the Demo Tapes project, Her Loss, and Honestly Nevermind. Those three projects would be the worst three projects in a Kendrick catalog. In who else? They would definitely be some of the worst in like Kanye's catalog. Not worse than Vultures probably, but compared to the rest, like if you ignore Vultures, they'd be the worst three projects off of Kanye's catalog. They'd be the worst three off of Travis Scott's catalog. These are okay projects. I'll be kind. They are okay. They're not that good. He's overhyping them.
I don't think it's his best effort, but it was a loose project. Treat it like that.
Every album that you named except for Her Loss and Dark Lane demo tapes are mid to me. So yes, I do feel like that when I have 5 albums out of his last 7 that are not quality to me.
5 out
I'm
of his
gonna
last
feel
7.
that
What do you
way.
mean? 5 out of his last 7. We just talked about 5 different projects that were released this decade, and you said that you found 2 that were great, and you celebrated both of them. Her Loss made your top 10 of the 2022.
So
Crazy
let's go to the
take.
last projects released. We have Her Loss, Some Sexy Songs for You, For All the Dogs, Honestly Nevermind, Certified Lover Boy. So the last 5, let's say.
It's been 5.
Out of those 5, I've had 2 that I've enjoyed. That's not a good. That's not a good track record at all.
He's also someone that puts out a lot of output at the
anyways,
same time.
you're stuck in.
Which is part of the issue. So, this is my thing. I care about quality over quantity every day. That's why Drake is ruined for me. I don't vibe with Drake's music for a lot of different reasons, but the biggest reason is like he always drops. He always drops, and it seems like he just drops because he likes the money, I guess. So when he drops, it seems like he doesn't care about what he's dropping. So the quality is low for a Drake project. I feel like if Drake just waits it out, give it like, if we wait for 5 years for the next Drake album, I think it would be good. I think it would be. If he just focuses and locks in for 5 years, I think it would be good. But he drops every year. And every year, it's like the same shit. It's boring.
Your view that you have, I made my points. I think that even in terms of musical issues, I feel like lately when it comes to the lyrical cuts, he's staying locked in to a very stagnant cadence and flow and rhyme scheme in terms of like the whole TION rhyme schemes. That's getting stale for me.
Creation,
The
fiction,
over processed vocals and the auto tune, and also more than anything, just a lack of growth and substance in the music, bro. Like I'm reaching a point where Drake, as someone who has him as a top 3 favorite artist in this genre, it's not doing it for me anymore. I do feel like he's slipping, bro. I feel like he's slipping. So
yeah, I don't think he's putting out his best material to date. I still think there's a lot of good that comes out of it. And if I look at this decade and give you like 25 different songs that we've praised over the course of the decade, I think that there's a lot of artists on here that can't even touch that.
25 out of maybe 100, though. You know,
but
it's that kind of output.
But you're gonna get that. You get that with Wayne 2 in his earlier catalog.
I'm just
where
saying,
there's a whole
the batting average is not the best. Like, sure, he's putting out a lot of output, and he's still able to make amazing fucking songs. I'm not doubting that.
I agree.
But at the end of the day, when I look at like how the ratio of good to bad music, it's more so bad.
Yeah, but
than
if you're
good.
getting 25 to 30 records, bro, that's close to 2 albums worth. The guy feeds his fans, and he's been doing it forever. Yes, there's
2 albums worth of good music, sure, if you want to be generous, but then there'll be like 5 albums worth of bad music. So I think if we were to force him to listen to like the 2 good albums filled with good Drake music and then the 5 albums worth of bad Drake music, he would disagree with his own point.
going to be a batting average, and it's automatically going to be lower because he's releasing a lot more music than a lot of these mainstream guys. It's just the way that it's going to work. Do I think he's dropping his best material? Do I think he's dropping
Not even
views?
close.
If you're reading this too late and nothing was the same level shit?
That's not the
no,
question.
absolutely
But it's not even close to the Drake that we once recognized. Then, listen, if you want to accept this Drake coasting era, more power to you. I think that in terms of what he's doing, he doesn't really need to change anything up for the fan base, right? He's still going to sell 1 trillion copies first week. He still knows the right ingredients to put in to have a hit album. Listen, bro, he knows how to manufacture hits. People are going to eat it up, but to me, it's just not hitting the same. So,
all right, let's go on to J.
It does
Cole.
not.
J. Cole
J.
is someone that's always
Cole
in this
is
conversation.
interesting. So, I think J. Cole's overrated. I think people overhype him up so much. Like, there's so many better rappers from his era that are not as popular, but so much better in my opinion. Like Freddie Gibbs, Danny Brown. I think they're a lot more talented than J. Cole. But I wouldn't say he's bad. He doesn't make bad music. Well, from time to time, yeah, but I would say I think he's overrated, but I don't think he's washed because I think he's just average. Like, he's just how can I put this in like basketball terms? He's the TJ McConnell of rap music, you know? He'll come through. He came through in the last 2 finals games for the Pacers. He came through. But he's no SGA. He's no Kendrick Lamar. Right? Like, he's good. He's average. But people are acting like TJ McConnell is Shaq. TJ McConnell is Kobe. TJ McConnell is SGA. TJ McConnell is TJ McConnell. Let him stay in those conversations. TJ McConnell is good where he's at. Don't overhype him. Don't say he's a top 75 player. It's TJ McConnell. That's how I feel about J. Cole. J. Cole is J. Cole. Don't put him in the conversations of the Kendrick Lamars in the world, or whatever. He's not at that level, but he's not bad. He's not bad. I'll say that. Like, I've been saying he's overrated, but I will admit that he is not bad rapper. So is he washed? No. But do I think the Fall Off is gonna be album of the year when it's released? No. Not at all. I don't think so. I'm guessing these two are gonna overhype him and say that he's the GOAT and whatever. So let's see.
Especially from a certain part of the hip hop fan base, it's interesting because I feel like there's been a lot of negative conversations around this artistry, maybe for the past like year or so, especially after 7 Minute Drill. People have always sort of had this narrative around Cole's music where it's quote unquote boring, or that it doesn't move them, or you can't play this around, the hoes, quote unquote, or around the homies, and you can't play this at parties. You can't play it here. You can't play it there.
Tracks to play around people.
I don't know. I completely disagree with people when it comes to the Cole conversation. Maybe it's because we're massive hip hop heads. We really enjoy lyrical hip hop.
No, it's just bullshit narratives. Like, even Kanye West saying that like women are getting dry when listening to J. Cole music. Like, if you've been to a J. Cole show, you see how many women are there enjoying the music. So I don't.
No, yeah, we've been to multiple Dreamville Fest. We've been to his own tours. We know the appeal behind the music. He's one of the greatest selling rappers of all time within this genre. One of the most successful, and arguably one of the best informed rappers still to this day.
100%. And I feel like out of all the rappers we're going to talk about today, he's the one that is just getting better and better. Like, instead of like, he's doing the opposite of becoming washed. Like, he's actually growing and leveling up as an MC.
I kind of agree. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of his early work. I thought that, the Off Season? I thought that was a good album. But, like, over, like, this 10, 15, 20 year period, he's just at, like, an average level to me. Like, he's been getting better, but he's just, like, okay. He's not up here. He's, like, here. He's, like, doing better than most, I guess, but it's nothing crazy.
See, as a rapper, and I do feel like obviously his reputation did take a hit after the entire battle, and I feel like a lot of people that already hated J. Cole now felt vindicated to be like, oh well, I was right all along. Yeah, it gave me the check mark. Oh look, he put out this Drippy feature, and this shit is ass. Like, I told you guys all along, and they want to downplay
7 Minute Drill and Might Delete Later. That helped me out. That helped me out as a J. Cole hater. Like, thanks to those two, I felt validated. I felt like I was right all along. Like, he's overrated because that mixtape was garbage. One of the worst projects I heard last year. And that diss track was one of the diss tracks I've ever heard in my life. So, yeah, just proving my point.
His skills and his impact, but you can't, bro. You definitely can't. This man's been too consistent, and I feel like
I can.
Maybe he doesn't have that dog in him to compete like a lot of us thought he did, but I think that with the fall off, he is gonna prove that he's competitive in a different way.
That's what I think the situation is that people haven't heard this new studio album. It's been a long time since we've gotten a Cole record. The internet exploded, by the way, when we got the off season back in 2021. It was one of the biggest moments of that said year. One of the best-selling albums of that year.
For like a week.
He still has the substance plus the excitement, and I think he's probably at a point in his life right now where he wants to drop the fall off, and then he's probably going to take a big hiatus. That's what it looks like for Cole at this point. He's mentioned it before, how he doesn't fuck with the digital age of the internet and how there's all these crazy narratives being fueled. And I can understand why an artist doesn't feel comfortable to drop as much anymore, especially in this climate. And especially for a J. Cole that just gets absolutely ripped every day for no reason. And I don't think
there's some reason.
He has millions of fans. He's doing arena tours. He could probably even do a stadium tour that's probably co-headlined with someone else at this point. I think Cole has all the power in his hands. And with the fall off, we will see that absolutely not washed. And to contrary what some other hip hop fans might think, but let's go on to Kendrick Lamar. This is interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he's
Drake
washed.
Fans, it's automatic yes. It's a yes, and that's where
the fact that Kendrick's in this video is mind-boggling. It's like, he's one of the most consistent rappers out now. One of the most consistent rappers ever. Like, even Snoop Dogg has his duds, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Nas, the legends have their duds. It hasn't been a very long period for Kendrick. It hasn't been a super long career, but so far so good. He has not dropped any bad projects so far. So the fact that he's in this video is crazy. It's crazy.
The Drake and Kendrick conversation is kind of cooked. You ask the Kendrick fans about Drake, it's like this guy has nothing to offer you in life. There's not a single thing this guy could do right. Same thing with the Drake fans with Kendrick. This guy makes this boring, just like performative music that has no substance to it.
Formative
That's
is
all
crazy.
this technical
Well, I've never seen someone say he has music with no substance. Maybe about GNX though. Maybe people made an argument
GNX
for that,
has
even
some
though there were songs
substance,
like
though.
I've seen
Reincarnated.
Drake
But,
fans say that he just has a whole lot of mumbo jumbo.
but
and it
I
sounds
feel like,
important.
listen, if you
Drake
think
fans
that
are
Kendrick
stupid,
Lamar
that's why.
right now is washed, you either have a Drake shrine in your home or you're just an idiot, bro. Like this guy is making some of the best music in the entire industry.
This is an
I will say that I
unnecessary
think
conversation.
that it's looking like, even though it hasn't
But
been that
at
many
least
projects and that
I
much
agree
time
with their
since, it does feel like he's maybe past his prime. I feel like that was probably 2012 to 2017. I do feel like his latest projects are still not up to par with his best. I will admit that for sure. But that being said, he's still keeping up that bar that we've held him to since the start of his career. He's not showing any signs of slipping or even falling in the slightest. Like, this guy's literally on top of the game right now. So no way is he washed. Next up,
for sure.
Who's next?
Lil Uzi Vert. For Uzi, there was a time where he was
Ooh, okay. Someone new. Okay. Probably. Like, I've never vibed with Uzi like that. He just has a few songs I enjoy, but that's it. I never go back to his projects, so I guess he's washed. That's it.
one of the most hyped up rappers in the entire world, and now it just feels like he's lost all of his traction.
For sure,
bro.
back in 2016, it felt like he was going to be the next pop star for the genre,
Yeah.
right?
I-
Where
yeah,
he just had
yeah.
this crazy mass appeal that, everyone loved him. The women loved his music. Everyone was bumping his shit at parties. It was cool.
He was
felt
very
youthful.
charismatic, so
I just think as you get older, that sort of energy gets lost through the
His
natural
music
process
is
of
very-
life, and the creative
was
output at
pretty
this
fun
point is
early
Uzi
on.
always trying to find the next big thing to be able to hop on and make his own. And I think as an artist, that becomes a dangerous game because you're no longer putting out what you feel inspired to put out, but you're putting out what other people want from you, for example, or what you think they want from you based on where the charts are or based on where other artists are. And I think that's where you really see how Cardi's career has aged versus an Uzi's, that Cardi's always put out what he wanted to put out. He didn't give a fuck. He knew that he was going to get backlash on Whole Lotta Red. He
Yeah.
didn't give a fuck. He created a whole new subgenre and he made it popular. Then you look at someone like Uzi and it just feels like even with the Pink Tape 2 or something, for example, like Eternal at Take 2 that he released last year, it's like he's trying to nostalgia for him.
I forgot
Where he's
about that
getting
album.
these albums that he released maybe 4 or 5 years ago that once appealed to the masses, and it's like, okay, let's slap a number 2 on there, and then I'm going to try to go into so many different directions that I don't even know where I want to be as an artist. That's where I feel like the conversation is with Uzi.
I think
You know
that
what? He's kind of spitting. He's kind of spitting. I agree. Especially with the Playboy Cardi Uzi comparisons, because they were like interlocked at first, but now like Cardi did his own thing and found success through that avenue, and then Uzi, I don't even know what he did, but it did not work whatsoever. So yeah, I agree. He's been. This is a good take. This is a good take.
that was definitely the nail in the coffin, was that release of Eternal at Take 2, where you got these nitrous bars and you got Uzi auto crooning with these awful melodies, and you got the big time Rush appearance, and it just felt like he used that Eternal at Take name as a desperate attempt to get people into the album. So I feel like people saw him in a different light, where it's like, do you not have the confidence to roll out an album the way that you used to? Like, are you really at that point right now? And with the Pink Tape, there were other big issues where, again, Uzi wanted to try to be different. He wanted to try to experiment and not have to
But that's a
rely,
great thing,
not
though,
have to rely on that narrative of like the 2016 bubbly Uzi that people loved and enjoyed. And I like the fact that he took those experiments, but just because you experiment doesn't mean you make good music. And a lot of those attempts failed and flat on their face, in the sense of him making these anime type theme songs and him going into like this rage rock sound that he just wasn't able to pull off. And I think that it goes deeper sometimes. An artist becomes washed for different reasons besides the music, right? With Uzi, you saw that with the Pink Tape release, which was supposed to be a massive follow-up to Eternal Atake as a studio album. It took 7 months for him to put out merch. There was barely any marketing around his tour. I feel like his team really did a poor job in the post-marketing segment of that whole era. And you could say the same thing for Eternal Atake 2, which is pretty sad. Also, something else to make note of is that Uzi had the same engineer, Kesha Lee, from 2015 to 2020, and then 2021 and on, changed engineer. And in terms of just the way his vocals were mixed and the way that he sounded on the mic, you can make a clear distinction from 2021 and on, and I feel like that has played a role as well.
And going back to that 2016 era, when looking at the prime, those runs were memorable and those eras lasted on. I like the point that you had made about the marketing and just how it felt as a whole. Uzi's name was so hot when he dropped an album, and that steam carried for a year or two. Who's talking about the Eternal Atake 2 era?
Nobody.
Who's talking about the Pink Tape era?
Nobody.
Is there really that much conversation in the masses? Maybe there's conversation in the Reddit forums, but there's conversations for everything in the Reddit forums. When it comes down to it, Uzi's a pop star. He's someone that has been able to rock crowds and be one of the most energetic and most youthful artists that the genre has seen for the later 2010s run. But just as of late, it doesn't feel like he has it anymore.
So when do you think it happened? Like, would you say the Pink Tape 2023? Was it Eternal Atake 2 that really made it clear?
I think there was a clear distinction in quality in comparison from Eternal Atake to something like Love Is Rage 2. Again, though, solid album. I think we were a bit harsh on it.
Love Is Rage 2?
No. You have to listen to me.
Eternal Atake to Love Is Rage 2.
I'm saying Eternal Atake, Love Is Rage 2. There's a clear distinction in quality in comparison to Love Is Rage 2 to Eternal Atake. Eternal Atake is, I think, when you start to see the tip off.
I got confused too.
I don't think he became washed after Eternal Atake.
No. I didn't say.
So that's what I asked you. When did it happen?
I think after Eternal Atake.
That's
I think
it.
after
So
that,
around
2021,
Pink Tape era.
2022, it
Yeah,
was around there.
I just don't think musically and stylistically he knew where to go, and he just tried to.
I
hop
thought
on
Eternal
different
Atake
trends,
was
whether it be the Jersey
bad
Club
as
or
well,
the Rage.
but
It just didn't work out
that's
for him. I
just
feel
me.
like now he's reached the point of creative bankruptcy. But next up,
all right.
Eminem.
Who's next?
Look,
This one hurts a little bit because Eminem. I got into hip hop because of Eminem. He was my first favorite rapper. I think he's many people's first favorite rapper. He's washed though. He's so washed. Oh my god. Ever since Revival, he's been washed. Even though like Music to Be Murdered By is slightly overhated, still not the best project. Death of Slim Shady, garbage, so bad. I really did not like that one, but they kind of like it, so I'm very curious on what they're gonna say. But Eminem is washed, like it's clear as day. The sky is blue, the grass is green. Eminem is washed.
listen, people have been calling Eminem washed since like the Marshall Mathers LP2 in 2013, or if not then, Revival in
He's
2017.
past
Definitely
time.
since Revival.
Yeah, there's no secret that he's past his
Since
time. I think
Revival.
the question is like, is he currently washed right now? And I think that
Yes.
it depends how you want to look at it, right? He put out his latest
Yes.
album in 2024, and
Yes.
it got decent reception. To
It was
be honest
good.
with you,
Surprisingly.
that being said, like he officially became washed December of 2017. Well, after Relapse came out, like that
Revival.
was Revival, excuse me, came out. That was like the last.
my dog
That was the
barking?
last straw.
That was the last hoorah.
I feel like after that, not only vocally did he start sounding more robotic and choppy with the flows, but
He was trying to spell out his rhymes for you and try to spell out his
That's how he
song
raps.
concepts. He was overcomplicating.
Is my dog barking? Is somebody's dog barking? I think I'm tripping.
things, and as a listener, it just turned me off to the music.
yeah, and he's also like, this latest album doesn't change anything for me because it's like, well, you have to do fan service and like literally go back to a sound that's 20 years old just to be relevant and just to make your fans happy. Like, you're not able to evolve as an artist. Like, I think that was just a very
Good point.
obvious sign of
surprised.
he's washed. Even if he has
I'm surprised they're
amazing
admitting
rap
he's washed.
performances, like skill wise, he could still rap alongside the best of them, like he proved on songs like Renaissance or Fuel. But
Feels a good track.
he's not the same artist he was in '99, '02, '09. Like
Definitely.
No.
that guy is not here.
No, this recovery. It was probably after recovery you started to see the decline. Or after, honestly, if he would have stopped at like Bad Meets Evil, which would have been a shame because that would have been down for more Eminem content, especially in the 2010s. Like he was realistically only 10 years into his career at that point. So there was still a lot of room for him to grow and to continue destroying shit. But
Does that mean he's been good for 10 years and trash for longer? Is that what he's kind of saying? I don't know. I don't know if he meant that, but kind of seemed like that's what he said.
I just think like after that Bad Meets Evil collaboration, even looking at the Monster Mathers LP2, it's low key the mid pack. You listen to songs like
It's all
Berserk
right.
and the lead singles that he was putting out to
I
his
like
albums,
Berserk.
and it just didn't hit, bro. It didn't hit the same, and
It
it,
hit
always
me
felt
when
forceful.
I was
So,
like 13.
yes, I think unfortunately my goat is washed, but
I thought you were gonna say that he had like a revival, no pun intended, with his latest album.
because you drop a good album, does that like
It's not
make
good.
an excuse for the past
That's the thing. Is not
10
good.
years?
No,
No.
but not only that, but even that album, like looking at that, like
I'm surprised
not-
he has this take because like this could have been said with Drake. You know, Drake has, in his opinion, like 2 good albums out of like 5 or 6 or whatever. But he refuses to call Drake washed, but he's happy to call Eminem washed. It's the Canadian bias in them. That's what it is.
not music that resonates with the times, bro. Like, who's talking about that album? It's not an album that pushes the genre forward like the way that he used to
No, not
have
at
albums
all.
come out. Like,
I'm
but
surprised it
sure,
was
you're-
nominated
you're
for
a
a
good
Grammy.
technician, but you're not moving the needle with your music anymore. But let's keep on going. 50 Cent.
50
Yeah,
Cent? Why are they
absolutely.
talking
Yeah, he-
about 50 Cent in 2025? When was the last time he dropped an album? At this point, that's not even fair. If he hasn't dropped in so long, why are you bringing him into the conversation? When was the last... Okay, I'm gonna look it up really quickly. Last Eminem 50 Cent album. Did he drop recently? I just don't know about it. 50 Cent albums. 2015. Is that the latest? Oh my god. I can't. There's so many albums connected to him. I'm going on Spotify. Oh, I shrunk. Yay. Okay. But bringing up 50 Cent in this conversation is actually crazy work. 2014 is his last album, apparently, that I have not listened to. Animal Ambition and Untamed Desire to Win. Let me show you guys. This album is his last album. Decent streaming numbers, I guess. 13 million. Okay, 50. Okay, but saying 50 Cent is washed, even though he hasn't dropped anything in like 15 years, is crazy work. It's like saying Tupac is washed because he hasn't dropped anything since he was alive. That's how I see it. No, this is actually kind of crazy, but let me see why they even brought him into the conversation.
He's been washed. I think that it's funny with 50 Cent because he had arguably the biggest peak from 03 to 05, and then 07 comes out with Curtis, and it's the beginning of the end. So it's funny because such a quick rise and an even quicker fall with 50.
We're talking about albums in the 2000s. 2007. 2007 since Curtis was released. Why are we talking about him? They should be talking about more current rappers that are actually dropping music. This is a stupid conversation.
Bro, even if you want to look at his latest features today,
I
Office
agree,
Hours
he's
off of
washed,
Magic 2,
but
like anything that he touches,
why even bring
he's
it up?
totally lost it, completely.
It's been since like Animal Ambition. No, it's probably low-key been since like 2011.
But all right.
Yeah, that was an easy conversation.
This was a
Conversation.
stupid
Future.
conversation.
I also think that this is complete crap. If you think that Future is washed,
I like
think that
Future.
what's funny about Future though is that
He's not
like
washed.
he's pretty much stayed the same his entire career in terms of just like
I'll say for Future, he's very inconsistent. So he'll have his highs, he'll have his lows. Lows, highs, lows. Just trade off like that, kind of. And it's hard to say if he's washed or the king of the world or whatever. But he did drop his best album in a few years last year with We Don't Trust You. I really messed with that album. I gave it a pretty decent rating as well, especially for a trap album. I don't rate trap albums that highly often, but that album was pretty good, I'll say.
the type of music you could expect, how he sounds on the mic, the level of quality. Like We Don't Trust You is arguably his second or third best ever album to me. So like
Yeah.
there's not really much to say about
Yeah,
Future.
and as much as I don't like albums like I Never Liked You or High Off
I Never
Life
Liked You
is
is good.
not as great as
I like it.
PS2. It's not the revival.
I have it in the
like,
the
level
collection.
quality. It's not the
Collection.
Carter 6. It's not Vultures
Dumbass.
2. It's not really bad stinkers of albums where you're asking yourself, why did Future release this project to his fan base? I think Future is doing
Yeah, he's
wonderful
just an
fan
average
service as
rapper,
well.
honestly.
He's creating these crazy
But I mean that in
pop
a good
cultural
way.
moments that's, revitalizing the hip hop genre. He seems to be on this crazy run where he just wants to continue dropping and continue dropping and continue dropping. I think that if it wasn't for him in Metro last year, who knows where we would be? Who knows where we would be? It would be a whole different conversation. Absolutely not washed. Let's go on to Kid
What
Cudi.
did they mean?
Yeah.
Kid Cudi. Yeah, he's washed. I mean, what was Man on the Moon 3 was good. I liked that album. Kids See Ghosts, he was part of that. But I guess since Man on the Moon 3, he hasn't done anything interesting. Insano was garbage. I haven't been listening to anything else he's made since Man on the Moon 3. So, yeah, he's washed.
May 20th, 2023, he drops the Flex snippet, the one where there's a video of him in the toilet. And I'm like, all right, bro.
Yeah,
If we're making fucking pupuseria music at this point, if we're going there, bro, I'm checking out.
Yeah, it's out
I'm
of it.
packing it up.
What do you mean
but
by that?
besides that, I mean, he put out Intergalactic, which was that soundtrack to the Netflix project
It
that
was
he
a
had. And
snoozer.
it was a snoozer in
forgot
the
about
sense
that
of
one.
like, this is Cudi recycling old ideas. These are like just a rehashing of the spacey auto crooning that he's done so many times before. And then you get the Insano era, which was a desperate attempt of him to hold on to any bit of relevancy that he still had by chasing different trends and having DJ Drama narrate the album and pandering to the sounds of trap and rage. And you just, it looked like your older uncle trying to like pull off a modern dance move, bro, at a party. Like that's what it
Well
feels
said.
like listening to Cudi
What the-
on an album
When you're
like
getting
Insano.
songs
And
like,
listen,
when you're getting songs like Willis, bro, that's when I knew. I was like, yo, like this has gone too far at this point.
bro, it's really gotten bad for Cudi. And there's a saying that I love in football, as the Americans would call it, soccer: leave the football before the football leaves you.
Yeah, even
Kid
songs like
Cudi has to do
even
it.
sounds like Keep Bouncing. Something that I always loved Kid Cudi's music for was the great writing and the hooks and the auto crooning, the wonderful choice in production. That has been completely lost.
It's finished.
Yeah, and the crazy part is back in 2020 with Man on the Moon 3, you could argue that's a top 5 album in his catalog. And the
Yeah.
decline has been so sharp and it's been so imminent and it's happened so fast. And I think Kid Cudi fans are asking themselves, like, where did we go wrong in this?
Yeah,
Where did
I
we
think that
go
you know
wrong?
an
What did
artist
I
watched, at least for you
do?
personally as a fan, when they were one of your
hell?
favorites or an artist
Don't
that
throw
you
me
really
in there.
loved and enjoyed, and
I had
then you
no part.
stop altogether getting excited for any new music. Like, that's the point that I've reached with
for
someone
sure.
like a Kid Cudi. Next up, though, Nicki Minaj. Not too
Nicki
much to say about.
Minaj. I guess she's been washed. Like, I don't know. I've never been a Nicki fan, so obviously I'm gonna say she's washed. To me, she doesn't have a good album. Like, there's nothing of hers I go back to. Like, I know this is like hater timing, like it seems like I'm doing too much, but like I just don't listen to her. She's not interesting to me at all. She annoys me. So she's washed, I guess. Like I feel like there's other rappers that I might not be a fan of, but other female rappers that I'm not a big fan of, but they're definitely influenced by Nicki, and I still would rather listen to them than Nicki, like a Doja Cat, or definitely Doechii. Doechii's really, really good. Who else? Not necessarily Cardi B, but I would rather listen to Cardi B than Nicki Minaj. I will definitely rather listen to Megan Thee Stallion over Nicki Minaj. So yeah, Nicki to me is she's washed. She's washed.
On Nicki, I mean, yes, Pink Friday 2 was a big disappointment, but
It was garbage.
When it comes to the majority of her catalog, I don't feel like her albums that get that much conversation to begin with. And
Exactly.
She's in a place right now where I just feel like she's a legacy artist, still one of the bigger names in the industry.
And she
still
went on a decent run, let's say, with her studio albums. Like I'm going through her discography.
Pink Print and Pink Friday.
Pink Print,
That's it.
Pink Friday. Queen was decent. There was some cool moments on there, but it was okay. Like it wasn't anything too crazy.
Not really.
And then after that, you get Pink Friday 2, and you start asking yourself some questions. That's where
But
it starts.
still a hit maker, still one of the biggest artists in the world, so
guess.
not falling off again, but washed in terms of quality for the most.
I don't even remember her last hit. Was it Super Bass? Like, was that her last hit? That's all I remember.
Most part, yeah, I would lean towards saying yes.
You see, it's kind of tough.
Oh, you know what?
Because like you
Anaconda. I love Anaconda. Not for the music though.
said, you're getting these, huge mega hits that are taking over everything. So you can't really call it washed.
Super Freaky Girl is not a wash type of record.
But she's always been making those records, though.
She has.
She's been
She
doing it with
has.
Anaconda, like.
She has.
So
This
I
is why
never
this
really
is a
stuck it to
bit
her. I
of
just
a
kind
weird
of
conversation.
understood the intent with her artistry and what she tried to do with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But even at that, like collaborations, like "Let Me Calm Down" with J. Cole off of Pink Friday.
I forgot
2,
they collaborated.
Or even something like "Everybody" with Uzi, which was a crazy pop attempt, bro. That was ridiculous to put that out on a studio album. Her collaborations haven't been that great as well, and I'm
Nah.
just not gravitating towards the type of features she's doing. But then again, like I've always felt like this about Nicki Minaj. I don't think she's washed as an MC.
I think so.
I just don't gravitate towards her
As an
catalog
MC,
or her music. So let's
she's
keep going
been
on with this
washed.
little baby. Last artist on
Lil
the list for today.
Baby. Another artist I just was not a fan of. So I guess he's washed, but yeah, I don't know what to say. He's been washed to me.
Yeah, I think this is another case of a rapper who's been washed for a long time, but it's only been recently that like even his most diehard supporters are catching on at this point. Like he put out an album in January of 2025, and I feel like
Dude,
most
so
hip hop fans
forgettable.
would even forget that it even existed.
Exactly.
And what's even more jarring to me is like Baby had taken that mantle of being one of the most successful rappers of his generation, and there wasn't a single hit on Wham.
Yeah, it was
Not even one hit, and not even a song that was worth revisiting as a fan of Baby, bro. Like, what do you have? Dumb and Dumber? Like, if you even want to call that an acceptable track, like, he's putting out these long studio albums as of late with It's Only Me and this latest Wham album, and he's lost hunger. He's sounding absolutely lifeless on the mic, recycling a lot of the same flows, and I feel like it's also a case of overstimulation where it's like we've heard so much Baby in terms of features that a lot of people have just gotten tired of him delivering the same old.
I've been tired.
Because he went on a crazy feature run
I've
right after
been
My Turn,
tired.
correct?
He did.
Do you think it was a case where he was just taking all his fucking best verses and he was giving it to other people, and then when it came
No,
time to the studio
I
album-
don't. I
Because that's what
don't consider those some of his best verses.
Like example, like a Wants and Needs, like a verse.
That's
like
one.
That. You look at songs like that, for example. I'm just saying.
That's just
I
one
think
song.
with the overstimulation and the over-release.
I do like
schedule
that feature.
of what they tried to do with Baby, because he
Surprisingly.
was really hot at that point, right?
No, I'm
Like,
not
My Turn
a Lil
is one of
Baby
the
or Drake
best-selling
fan.
albums of this entire fucking decade for rap music, or any genre for that matter. To be honest with you, huge commercial success. They were like, "Yo, we gotta strike while the iron's hot, and we gotta get shit out there." And I understand why they did it. And honestly, maybe from a business standpoint, they have no regrets, bro, because within that time, they were just dropping crazy features after crazy features. You know, My Turn was going nuts, but did it come at the expense of the longevity? And I
Yeah.
think maybe that's the conversation you have to have. Because to be honest with you, yes, you're not getting records like My Turn level, but they're not far off, bro. Like, you're not getting Carter 6, for example, or Vultures 2 level content where you're asking, is this guy the same artist? You're just like, I'm tired of this sound, bro. I can't bear
I
it.
think
and
that's
I-
part of
think it's
being
deeper
washed,
than that.
too.
I just don't think that like an artist in his stage in his career, who's still pretty early in his development, should be as stagnant as he is as an artist.
But that's it, absolutely. And but that's
That's really what the issue is. So it's not about
Yes.
like, oh, is it shit? Is it acceptable? Like, whatever. It's passable music. It's not Carter's 6 level.
But that's the point that I'm
But
trying to
that
make,
being
yes.
said, it's the fact that he's not showing growth as an artist or doing anything new. I think that's why people are kind of fed up of it. But that's it. Lil Baby Wash without a doubt. And
Yeah.
what's interesting, it's something I thought about, like, we might be onto like a forever curse. Think about it.
Forever
Everyone
curse.
that's on Forever. Eminem, Lil Wayne.
I
Kanye
was
West.
actually-
Hopefully not.
I was actually talking about this the other day. Dude, everybody on Forever, they're all washed. They're all washed, which is unfortunate because Forever's a banger. Forever's a great track. But Lil Wayne, Eminem, Drake, Kanye all washed in 2025. That's actually hilarious.
Drake. Again, I don't think Drake is washed
He's
right
washed.
now.
He's washed.
But there might be a forever
He's washed.
curse that is taking shape. But that being said, guys, let us know down in the
Alright.
comments which of these rappers do you think is washed, and how hopeful are you for the future of hip hop? Thank you guys.
How hopeful are you for the future of... See how they, like, over-exaggerate. Like, relax. Just, like, for that comment alone. See how Pitbull is in the video. That's funny. I just came up with the idea while watching this. I think we should answer that question. Who is washed? I'm gonna make a Google Doc. And we'll do like a top 10 or so, 15, whatever. Most washed. Oh, I'm looking at my old New Music Fridays. I need to bring that back. What's this? Oh. Yeah, that's definitely something I'm not going to show. What's this? Okay, not going to show that either. But that's nothing crazy. Okay, we are going to do a quick list of artists we think, or I guess I think, is washed. You can name a washed artist in the comments, and I'll tell you if I agree or not. But yeah, washed artist list. Okay. I'll try to do most of the heavy work, but if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to. To add to the list. Washed artist list. Okay. I'm gonna number them, but they're not in order, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does. But yeah, if you know a washed artist, let me know. We'll probably add it to the list. And okay, let me fix this so we can all see it nicely. Alright, real-time editing. Here we go. Let's move it like that. Okay. There we go. So this is our washed artist list. Name a washed artist down below. I'll add it to the list. Let me start with my former GOAT, Kanye. He has to be here. The Vultures run is definitely one of the worst 2-pack of ass I've ever seen. It's very unfortunate how he just ruined his legacy pretty quickly. Like it was a quick time span how he was able to do that. Yeah, let me make this bigger so we can all see. But yeah, name of watch artists. I'll probably add them depending on how I feel. Eminem. Eminem. Is that how you spell it? Eminem. Eminem. Oops. Eminem is washed. He's been washed since Revival, obviously. So, yeah. Not much to say there. Let me also get rid of this part. We will extend this. There we go. Okay. Who else is ass? Who else is washed? Drake. Drake has to be in the conversation. I don't think he's dropped a good project in like 10 years. Let me put up some tunes. So Drake is going to be on the list. Kid Cudi. It was a good mention from them. I think Kid Cudi is unfortunately lost. Washed. Oh my god. Yeah, I like Man on the Moon 3. I like the Man on the Moon series. But other than that, he's not that good. Okay. Who else? I don't want to throw in Nicki in there or Lil Baby because I haven't been a fan of them. But if I have to, I will. Ignore this. Okay. I'm just going on Spotify, seeing... Oh, Lil Wayne. How could I forget? How could I forget Lil Wayne? Definitely washed. Okay. So Lil Wayne is gonna be here. I'm not gonna throw in like older rappers that don't rap anymore. I feel like that's stupid. We threw in Eminem. Eminem is here. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else started off hot and then became washed? Childish Gambino has an interesting conversation. I wouldn't say he's washed, but like his last album was a little underwhelming. It's good, but a little underwhelming. 50 Cent, crazy mention. He hasn't dropped an album in over a decade, so I'm not gonna throw him in there. Meek Mill, maybe. Honestly, Meek Mill is kind of washed. I'm sorry. Meek Mill hasn't really done anything since he dropped that one song with Drake. Meek Mill is probably deserving to be on the list. I don't know. Like he started off good, just trailed off. Nobody talks about it anymore, and he still drops music. So Meek Mill is in the conversation. Logic is an interesting one. He's just so inconsistent. I don't know. I really don't know if he should be. No, he dropped a good album last year, so no, I'm not gonna do that to him. Not right now, not today. Okay. Don Toliver, no. Chief Keef, definitely not. NGK, he's just been ass. Like, no. Okay, Benny the Butcher. No, but when was his last memorable album? You tell me. You got Sexy Red in the building. Probably not. Let's see, Ken Carson. I'm just looking through all these albums in my. in my library, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. But, Chica? You guys remember Chica? She's kind of washed. I'm not gonna throw it in there. I feel like that's mean, but I thought she was good at first, but then trailed off. Should I add Uzi? Uzi is an interesting conversation. Part of me does it because, like, I've just been thinking he's mid, so to me, there's no point of that. Ray Shrebberd. Remember them? I'm not gonna throw them there. Macklemore? No. Shout out to Macklemore. He's fighting for the Palestinians. Free Palestine. Free Gaza. I love that. Babytron? I haven't heard a Babytron album in a minute. Lil Yachty's. Oh, you know what? This is a good one. Trippie Redd. I had a small mini Trippie Redd phase early on in his early career. I thought he had some good music, and then he trailed off. So yeah, I think Trippie Redd deserves to be in the washed category. Let's come up with three more names. Mavi, no. Let's see. Heroes and Villains. Anybody from here? Future, no. Travis, no. Young Thug, overrated, but I don't think so. Gunna, he's a Rocky Takeoff, nah. 21 Savage is slowly, kind of, in a way, becoming washed, but I don't think he's there yet. If he drops like a really bad album, then I'll say he's washed, but so far he's just been kind of mid to me. YG, I see YG in my list. I don't think he's washed. He's just dropped a few great tracks this year, so no. Is DJ Khaled washed? Was DJ Khaled ever good? Is this a conversation that we want to have right now? I don't know. Probably not. Ride the Wave, no. Low key. Megan Thee Stallion. I liked her early work. And I think she hasn't dropped anything as good as that. I forgot what it's called. Let me look it up. Or should I even? Yeah, I'll do it. Megan Thee Stallion hasn't dropped anything good in my opinion since. Okay. Fever, which is a 2019. I don't want to say she's washed, but she might be. 2019. That's a long time. I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to put her in there yet. Okay. Westside Gunn? Nah. Post Malone. That's a good one. Post Malone. He used to be a rapper, so it'll count. I used to be a Post Malone defender, saying that he wasn't a culture vulture because I thought his music was good. And, you know, some of it still holds up, like Rockstar, like the Beer Bongs and Bentley project. Great. I think that's a great project. Hollywood's Bleeding's kind of mid. But like since Hollywood's bleeding, he's been just the trajectory has been going down. So yeah, he's washed. He deserves to be on the list. Let's come up with 2 more names. Billy Woods, no. Fabio Foreign, never been good, so no. I'm looking. Earth Gang, no. Not kind of. In a way. But nah. Corday, no. Gunna, nah. Nas, okay, this is difficult. This is McJenkins, nope. IDK, kind of. Young Thug, kind of, in my opinion. This is hard. Who's washed? Let me know. Who do you think is washed? Who's Benny Sings? Why is this in my library? Who's Benny Sings? 2 million monthly listeners. Why is he here? Okay, whatever. The Baby? Can you be washed if you were never good? That's what's... Oh, I just got a good one. This might be disrespectful. This is a little disrespectful. Should I do it? Should I say Migos? I feel like that's a bit mean. Migos, washed. They were washed before Offset died. Takeoff. Who died? Oh my god. I don't even remember. That's actually pretty bad. I apologize. It's Takeoff. Takeoff was the one that died. Okay, yeah. My bad. That was... I apologize. I forgot. Okay. Officially not putting Migos on the list. Just because I feel bad. Okay. I have DJ Khaled here again. Should I put Justin Bieber in here? It's not a rapper. Okay. This is... I can't think of anybody else. Should I leave it here? Kind of don't want to leave it here. Is Jack Harlow good? No. It's not a good answer. No. But I'm struggling. Drop that for 1,000. Kind of a crazy shout. Lil Tecca, he dropped a good song this year, I'll say that. Nah, it was never good. Eneli Choppa, maybe. You know what? Oh, this is gonna be mean. This is disrespectful. I think I'm gonna add him though. Busta Rhymes. And now thinking about it, Snoop Dogg, they both dropped some mid as of late. I guess we could end it here. Joyner Lucas. Should I add Joyner Lucas? I mean, if you guys have better suggestions, let me know. But But I think I'll end it here with those 10. Because it's getting difficult trying to think who was good and then ended up being washed. Because I feel like if you're washed, that means you started off at a good note. You started off pretty decent, good even, and then you fell off or became washed, however you want to put it. So at some point in all of these rappers' careers, at some point, in my opinion, they were good. But eventually, they started dropping more mid and bad projects, and then ultimately became washed. So, here are 10 rappers I think are washed. Let me know who you think is washed. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it here. End the stream here. So a fun stream, a good stream. Thank you for those popping in and out. I appreciate that. Hopefully next time we can have more of a conversation, because that's what I like to do with these streams. I like talking to other people about music. So yeah, I guess I'll end it here. I'll take this off the screen. And yeah, I'm gonna need to go shower. I worked out. I haven't showered since I worked out, so I gotta do that. And then, I don't know, play Fortnite, I guess. Maybe Mario Kart. I want the Switch 2 so bad. Can't afford the Switch 2 at the moment, though. But, oh, would it be fun to stream the Switch 2? That would be awesome. But, okay. I think I'm gonna leave this live stream public, in case anybody wants to check it out. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Maybe this time I will live stream on Friday for New Music Friday. We'll see. I'll try to do that. But yeah, until then, I guess I'll see you all sometime later. Goodbye.
Computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.